Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to solve this application problem that involves bearing. So let's take a look. We have an airplane that flies 180 miles from point A at a bearing of 125 degrees, and then turns and flies at another bearing of 230 degrees for another 100 miles. At the end, we're going to find out how far is the airplane from the original point A. Of course, we know we have to draw a picture along the way, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Let me just say this right here is my starting point A. And now let's take a look at what we have. From A, first of all, we have a bearing of 125 degrees. And you see this right here, it doesn't tell us north, south, east, west, whatsoever, right? By default, when we have a bearing, and if we just have an angle that's given, we always look up to the north direction, okay? And then we have to turn this much degree clockwise. So from north, we'll turn clockwise 125 degrees. And also another tip for you guys. Whenever we are drawing a picture to illustrate the situation, the picture doesn't have to be perfect, but be sure our picture has to be reasonable. Anyway, so from here, we have to turn 125 degrees. All right, so from here to here, this is 90 degrees, isn't it? And I have to go for another 35 more. So it's about like this. And I will be looking at this direction from point A, all right? And in fact, I know how far I traveled it, which is 180 miles. So I'm going to go from this point, and I'm just going to draw 180 miles. So let me just draw this right here to be my 180, right? This is 180 miles. And I'll stop right here. And let me just call this being point B right here. And now, once we're at this point, we are going to turn and fly at another bearing of 230 degrees for 100 miles, right? Same situation. We are just having an angle right here. So this means we have to look up to the north direction, and we have to turn clockwise with 230 degrees, right? So let's see. From here to here, this is 180 degrees, right? And we have to go for another 50 more in order to get the whole 230 degrees. And now this is my 230 degrees, and this is the direction I have to look at, isn't it? Just like something like that. From here, we have to go 100 miles. And you know this right here is 180, so 100 miles is going to be like maybe something like this, right? Because if you look at, this is 100 and that's about 180, something like that. So this is 100, let me just put this down right here. And we're pretty much done. This will be the end, right? The airplane will be right here at the end. And the question is asking us, how far is the airplane from here to from our starting point A? So we'll just connect the dots from here to here. And here we have it. That's our triangle. And of course, A, B, and C, right? So let me just label this as C. And now, we are trying to find out what this is. And based on our usual way to label triangles, since this is B already, I will label this side as little b. And I'm trying to find out what little b is, isn't it? Okay, I don't think this is going to be a right triangle. So we should figure out the angles inside of the triangle so that maybe we can use either law of sine or law of cosine, right? And let's take a look. This right here we know is 125. But this right here, I cannot say too much about it. Because you see, this right here in red, well, this is not straight down. This side in black is not straight down. It's not necessary. I cannot be sure. This angle is not 180 minus 125. It's not like that, okay? I cannot be sure about that. And we know this right here is 230 degrees, but what? Well, if this is 230 degrees, and then earlier we mentioned that this from here to here, it was 50 because we did a 180, and then, you know, we had to go from 180, 50 more to get 230, right? So let me do this. Right here, let me just look at this line. Yes, let me just extend it. This is the north-south line, all right? And we know this little angle in red, it will be 50 degrees, and this is 180, right? Because the whole thing will be 230. So let me just tell you guys, this is the whole thing, 230 degrees. And for the 50 degree, 230 minus 180 is 50. Okay, so that's pretty good. All right, now I'm trying to find out what this is. And in fact, I really care about this angle, because if I can find out what this angle is, notice that we have this side and then this angle in between of another side that we know. This is a side angle side situation. We can use law of cosine to help us to find out the third side. So I really want you to know this angle rather than the other two. I don't really care about this or that. This is 50. I haven't really utilized this yet though. So let's see, I will also do the same thing. Let me just draw a straight line right here as well, right? And this right here, I should have indicated that for you guys, this is 125 degrees. Can I label 125 degrees somewhere as well though? Yes, in fact we can, right? Because if you look at this line blue and this line blue, they are actually parallel because they are both vertical lines, right? And let me just make a note on the side for you guys right here. When we have two parallel lines, and let me just draw the parallel line just like this, and when you have a line that go across them, and this is called a transversal, what we get is we can say that this angle and that angle will be the same, will be congruent. This is called the alternate interior angle, right? Something like that. I don't remember the exact name. Anyway, but most importantly, this and that have to be the same. If you have 125 here, well, this side in black with the 180, it's the line that cuts through this and that, right? So I can tell you that this much from this side to the blue, it will be 125 as well. Let me just label this 125 degrees, all right, by that. Okay, with this being done, can we find out what this angle is? This angle in black, let me just draw it bigger. All right, measure angle B. It has to be 125 minus 50. You see, this is the 50 in red that we put down earlier, isn't it? Right? So let me just put down 125 degrees, and then we will minus 50 degrees. And of course, we can totally work this out. This is just going to be 75 degrees. And let me just label this right here. And this is the angle in black that we want, right? And now we're ready to use law of cosine to solve for this B right here. And let me just do the labeling. This is B, right? And then since this is C, this will be little c. And since this was A, this will be little a. And the version of the law of cosine that I'm going to put it down for you guys is the following. This side, which I don't know, I'll put this down first. So we have B squared. It will be the other sides. You square them individually, and then you add them up, right? So I'll put down A first, square, and you add it with C squared. Okay? And you see, this is what we have now, and then we have to minus 2 times A and C. So we'll just put down 2AC. And then here's the cosine part. Multiply this by cosine of capital B. This angle has to be corresponding to that, right? So it's capital B. If you use little b, this will be capital B. Okay, so we are ready to go. Let me just put this down for you guys. B squared is equal to A, which is 100 based on my labeling. So we have 100 squared, and then we add it with C, which is 180. So that's also put that down right here. And we square that, and then minus 2 times A, so 2 times 100 times C, which is 180, and then times cosine of B, cosine of 75 degrees. So let me put this down right here, cosine of 75 degrees, like this. And you see, on the left-hand side, this is B squared. This is what you can do. You can just take the positive square root only. This and that will be cancelled, and you'll get the B by itself. We'll get an approximation for this. And put everything right here onto your calculator, all right? Just use your calculator and just like make sure you enter everything correctly. And be sure your angle is in the degree mode, all right? And also in the square root. And if you work this out, you will get B is approximately 181.89. This right here is this side. And you have to answer the question according to the phrase right here, right? How far is the airplane from point A? It's right here. So here is the answer. I'm going to write it down for you guys in a complete sentence. So the airplane is about, you don't need to write it out, write about if you don't want to, 181.89 miles away from point A, right? So this right here is how we are going to present our answer, and that's it.